On this meeting, ask that you would give your servants, Lord, wisdom to make good decisions this day. And we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Roll call, please.
Yax,
Here.
Johnson,
Here.
Brumman, here, Small.
Here.
Burton's absent.
So Mr. Brady is under the weather. As Vice Chairman, I'm going to sit in today and take care of things. Let's approve the minutes from the February 15th meeting. Any changes or corrections? If not, we'll have a motion. Second. Moved by Terry. Second by Lee. Any discussion? All those in favor? Say aye. 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 Opposed? Okay. The motion carries. All right, public comment, 3 minutes per person, please identify yourself and where you're from and if there's any. Oh, come on. Well, at least I get to be at the helm one. Stand it. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Margie Sarah from Haynes Township. At the end of our last meeting, we talked about extending open time here at the county building for people to come in lunch hours. And I would just like to suggest that perhaps one of our 2 meetings each month could be an evening meeting. You know, those of us that are retired can make these meetings, but we do have young people who are working, and it would be nice to see some of their faces at some of our meetings also. So I would like to make that suggestion, and hopefully we can do that in this year. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Got,
What do you got? You got public comment?
yes, we're in public comment. You want
I
to
can
do that, or
probably
you want to
finish.
wait until a presentation?
I could probably fit it in 3 minutes if
All right. If not, I gotta get up the hammer, I can't.
heck no. I'll
Get
get in and get out. Yeah, I'm sorry, Chief Adams not here today. I've been sending some email correspondence with him about the school resource officer grant. And with Mr. O'Connor, trying to get some clarification on that. It looks to me like whatever happened there, it came in way short of the 50% that it's supposed to be. But what it requires of me is 100% commitment of an officer, and for less than 50% refund. So I've asked the school to think about paying 100% of that. So whatever the resource grant doesn't cover, I've asked them to cover. I don't know how that's going to go over with them, but I want to let the board know that that's kind of where we're at. I think it's fair. The school district is benefiting 100% from the officer. So they should be paying 100%. The people who pay taxes in Alcona County for Oscoda school districts or Fairview school districts, they don't benefit from our school resource officer. So I kind of explained that, and
50% of the 9 months.
yeah, 50% of the 9 months that they're in the school. So it's not 50% of his full salary and benefits. So we're in some communications on that. I've included Adam in on those because ultimately I'll have to bring that agreement in for you guys to sign. Thing is, we're getting down to a deadline. They wanted a 60-day. We have 60 days to get that memorandum of agreement in place, of which I do, except for terms on payment. So we'll hammer that out shortly, and hopefully I can have that to you for the next board meeting to get signed, if they agree to pay the full amount. If not, I don't know what I can do for them. You know, I can't commit somebody there 100% of the time if I don't have 100% of the bodies.
Are we budgeting that school year or our year?
Well, we have to budget. We have
Our
to
year.
budget for our year. Yeah,
So we're already into it.
we are. And we've been paying that out of the general fund. Basically because I feel it's such a high priority for us to have somebody over there, no matter how it's funded. But in the long run, I think the people paying taxes in other school districts are not getting a fair shake out of that. So that's kind of where I'm on at with that. I do have a new hire that I'm looking at. He's got a conditional offer of hire. He'll pass the background check and a physical and things like that. Comes well recommended from downstate. He was a director of public safety down there, retired, moved to our area recently. He's got credentials out the rear, so looks pretty good on paper, and I think things are going to come together well for us. I think they'll do well for us. So. I'm also looking to start him off at the 2-year step. He comes in with almost 30 years of law enforcement experience. talked to the union, they don't seem to have a problem with that. Because otherwise I'm gonna lose him to Burger King or Costco or somewhere else. So he's pretty agreeable to the 2-year step at this point, so I think that's what I'm gonna do and get him in here and get him suited up. Other things I got going on are, it's the winter time, so I'm working on all my grants. I got marine grant going, Stone Garden, Harrisville City's agreement is all but done. I think the mayor is signing that. We have a couple of terms in there, but I'll have to have Adam sign that one at the next meeting too. And we do have something with Millen Township going on, US Forest Service, ORV. And Alcona Park is always bugging me about it, so I'll probably have some discussions with them this winter to see if they're gonna want, I know they want somebody out there. It's just gonna be a matter of whether I'm able to do that or not. I don't want to commit to it if I don't have the bodies, because that's what we ran into before with them. We recently met with 911, Ian Max and I met with the personnel committee. That went fairly well, pretty good discussion on the talks there. We agreed to do some research into things and see what we could do to help with the benefits of pay for my folks. I look forward to seeing how that turns out and see what we turn up. Because we have negotiations coming up this summer, so. I don't know if I fit it in 3 minutes or not, but I tried. I talked fast and I tried.
You did well. Any questions? Concerns? No?
More comments? No, Terry?
I mean, he's gonna be on the road, the
Yeah.
officer.
Yeah, and he comes in ready to hit the road. Matter of fact, he was the field training officer at his department, so. I gotta get him in here and show him our computer systems and how we do business around here and short of that, I think. His work philosophy from talking to him matches mine quite closely and that's gonna come from somebody that comes from somewhere else. Preaching the same thing that I do, so I'm pretty excited about it. These guys have been hearing it from me for years on this is what I want and this is why, but to hear it from somewhere else now is gonna be pretty cool. So.
Good.
Yeah, it's a good step.
Did you move to Alcona County?
Yep, with my Cato. He's been commuting back and forth for a few years and his wife is from the Oscoda area and I think. Commissioner Brumman met his wife a few weeks ago in my Cato Township at a meeting. We talked for quite a while, so. Yeah, I scream his name in the streets, but he's only got a conditional offer and once he's fully in, I'll bring him over here and show him off to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any other public comment? Or anybody?
See, that's how they get rid of me quick out of here. Let me in and talk.
Yeah, you're in and out. All right, hearing none. Presentations. So we have Steve from MIFSM, which is, you say the acronym.
Good afternoon, my name is Stephen Heater, Chief Investigator with Michigan Institute of Forensic Science and Medicine. So we're here today to present the renewal for the county contract for medical examiner services. In front of you is the packet explaining all that. I've included a breakdown of the cases throughout the year for the last 3 years and a breakdown of what that comes up to and what we pay our investigators and transporters and, in order to provide the best service for the county. There is an increase, the country is seeing an upward of 13% increase in inflation across the board. In the past 3 years, we have not come to the board and asked for an increase. However, with this renewal, we are asking for, an increase to be able to continue to provide the best service for the county. We've made several improvements to better Alcona County. We've changed toxicology companies in order to get toxicology reports back in order to complete that certificate in a timely manner. So we are under an expired contract effective yesterday. So we're hoping to have a signed contract today. I do have a signed contract that I've got with me to present to the board. I will open it up for questions if there's any explanations of the contract or the breakdown.
Steve, would you be so kind as, to, very brief, but nonetheless, why do we have a medical examiner and what are the steps to have? Great grandma passes away at 93 in her bed.
Yep.
Some night,
So the,
when do you step in? and
Yeah.
so on?
so the county is required to have a medical examiner. And our staff, we have 2 forensic pathologist physicians, both highly board certified physicians. And we investigate. Sorry about that. We investigate all deaths in and outside of hospitals. So we offer scene investigators in Alcona County. We have 6 investigators within the county that respond to all death scenes. And so they'll investigate the death, report it to the physician, and make the determination on whether or not an autopsy is required or if the loved one can be released to a funeral home. We have a great working relationship up here within the last 3 years and continue to strive to always be better. I make myself available 24/7 if there's questions, concerns, comments, things that we can change, to better serve Alcona County. So, there's a criteria that the physicians have to follow in order to order autopsies. Law enforcement, things that they see on scene, if our physicians feel comfortable releasing a case and law enforcement says, I think we need to look into it a little bit more. We've never and never will turn down a case. Loved ones, families that, a loved one has a significant medical history and passes away in their sleep. And family is obviously overwhelmed and need that peace of mind and reassurance, and request an autopsy that would be provided. And that's why we offer the lowest cost possible to give the best service to Alcona County.
No, we have no charge to the,
Correct.
to the bitumen.
Correct. We cover all the transportation from Alcona County to Saginaw where the autopsies are performed, and that's all covered in the contract.
So every death in the county, one of your people are.
Correct. Correct. The only cases we don't necessarily get involved in is hospice cases where they're under the care of another physician and it's an expected death. The only time we do get involved in hospice cases are if there's trauma, abuse, and neglect.
Were we looking at just giving a 2-week extension to what we? Well, we've talked with Steve a little bit. He hasn't got an answer from his people, so we did express to him that we just got, he has been in contact, I guess. But we didn't know all that at that time, so you haven't heard yet whether or not we
I
have
have
an
not.
extension,
No,
so.
and like I said, we spent a lot of time in this and nobody likes to ask for money, right? But we've seen an inflation in the 3 years, we've never asked for anything more. And, we did very careful calculations and this is the very rock bottom price that we can offer the county. And, to be honest, there's nowhere you're gonna see any less for what you have.
Any questions? So where were you 30 days ago?
We did reach out and try to bring a meeting here prior to today and just due to work conflict and not getting everybody together, it just wasn't able to happen. I am always willing to answer questions, concerns, I'll good, bad, the ugly, I'm here for the long haul, so, this really is the best service. We've come a long way in Alcona County and built great relationships, and we just want to continue that.
Okay, well, we're on the agenda, so it's gonna come up.
Okay.
I guess one way or another here, so.
And like I said, I do have a signed contract from the office, so. We can. Do that today, that would be really good.
All right, any other questions? Okay. Well, all right, you're gonna stick around, right?
Oh, yeah, I'll be here.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right. There. There's no unfinished business, so anything to add to the agenda that anybody needed? No? Any? Nope. All right, new business claims.
I'd like to make a motion to approve pre-authorized claims and open claims presented for payment between February 5th, 2023 and February 28th, 2023 for check numbers 149902 to 150084 and e-checks number 2055 to 2067 for a grand total of $581,039.76. Report.
Been supported. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Small,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
Brumman,
Yes.
Yax.
Yes.
Passes, all right. I'm gonna bump it past you a little bit here and go to these other two, and then we'll go back to that. Township Land Division Service Agreement, I put that on your desks. So that was given to me by Equalization. It's the contract we've had with them, with the townships for many years. The only change, from what I understand, is the last sentence before the signatures. Is that correct? Lauren?
That one and then just the fees.
The fees, okay.
Yeah.
So, this, instead of renewing this each year, this will be in effect unless either party wants out of it. We currently provide services for all townships but two, correct?
Yeah, my Cato and Caledonia.
Okay. So. We need to approve this for the chairman to sign it.
That's already, I think that's already been approved. The contract's been approved. We just need Adam's signature on the contracts.
Oh, has it been? I don't know. You handed it to me, so I thought we had to have Adam, when was?
Adam just needs to sign it. I thought that was already approved. The contract was already approved, and that Troy had it approved before we sent it out to townships back in January.
Okay.
Using Adam to sign it.
Did the board move to approve Adam to sign it? Did that motion take place?
I'm not sure if
Not
that
since
is
I've been on since
correct.
January. I don't remember.
don't believe so. I believe that's what.
Or
This
this
is-
is for Adam to sign them, yes.
Yes, I remember the fee, but I don't remember the contract.
Sometimes we approve signatures and don't have the document. So it comes in later.
Well,
That's why I was trying to check it.
so we're gonna entertain a motion to.
I will so move we authorize the chair or vice chair to sign the agreement between Alcona County on the Land Division Act Services Agreement.
For support,
Or
moved and supported, discussion?
Yes, did you say there was an increase in this?
There's not an increase, right now and in the past, there's been set prices, so a meets and bounds description. Would cost $100 and then a subdivision split would cost $50. What we ran into in the last 2 years. With the subdivision just splits is people aren't just taking. They own lot 33 and lot 34 and splitting them back into separate parcels. They're taking portions out of those lots, which then turn into a meets and bounds description included in the subdivision description. And that's where we had kind of just added that fees are subject to change based on the discretion of the approving official. Which would be the county is the approving official. So if someone came in with, they have 4 lots in Lost Lake Woods and they want to cut out a triangle. That is now a meets and bounds description. It's up to us to charge that we could charge more than the $50. It's a lot more work than just separating that out. And that's all that is really saying right there.
Any other questions? Discussion? Okay. Motion on the floor, any other discussion, we'll vote, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, opposed, carries, done.
I
Okay,
get copies after the signing, please. Thanks.
all right, City of Harrisville draft master plan. So this is the normal, if we don't do anything, if this goes in 30 days, is that correct?
Yeah.
It was presented at a prior meeting. Now,
So are we up to 30 days already?
I've been
Or?
getting a lot of them, but I just received here, so, but I've been getting quite a few.
I don't remember the city one.
Oh, okay, and maybe it was. Yeah. I'm getting-
So I didn't hear anything. I'm the commissioner from the city and nobody said anything to me about voting on it and getting it done. That was at the last meeting and nobody.
Their last meeting.
Yeah, they didn't say, hey, get this done, so I assume we can let it lay until it becomes the rule. If that's okay with the board, if not, I will vote. All right, so that's what we'll do. Do we let them know? I think we have in the past, or just let them know?
I have not in the past, no.
I'll let the. mayor
Usually,
know.
there's a 30-day comment period, or you waive it.
Right.
Is that what you're choosing to do, is just?
We'll wait it. All right. All righty, we're back to Mr. Steve.
Are we gonna give the gentleman time to receive his phone call?
I don't know if he wants Stan to receive this phone call. Yeah. So we have to make a decision, I think, on this contract is what it looks like. We've had a chance to look at it. The gentleman has been faithful in trying to contact. It wasn't his fault that we didn't get it earlier. I guess we gotta make a decision here. We need a motion. When you vote it up or down, but we need a motion.
You guys can, you might want it, so.
Well, we'll talk about it if you make a motion.
Also.
I'll support that we approve it.
Yeah.
Okay. Moved by Carolyn, supported by myself, that we approve the is there can you pronounce MIPSM? Do you guys do that or not?
Yeah, so it's Michigan Institute of
Michigan Institute of Forensic Medicine's contract for the next 5 years.
Is it 3 or 5?
5 years. So Carolyn and I did have a chance to talk, so Carolyn will give some background on maybe a little bit on what we talked about. If you got any questions, we still got Steve here, so we can grill him, and one of us can hold him down, and the other one can give him a hard time and say, hey.
Well, I think we have to remember it's mandatory. That you have that consent. This movie has been a bit of a thorn over the years. Now, I'm not saying this one, but the medical examiner situation for the last 20 years has been on and off. And it's very time sensitive. From the standpoint, you can't say, well, maybe we'll hire one by next week. It just doesn't work that way. So,
Well, I'll speak to the elephant in the room. So the issue really is, it's a $9,000 increase in year one and a $17,000 increase from what we're paying now until into the 5th year. So it's a sizable increase, and that has caught all of us a little off guard. I think that's where we're having a little bit of a hard time. We did talk with Steve, and he makes a good case that there is inflation. Everybody else has increased their rates. So that, I mean, I can't put it any better than that. He provided us with what they've done and the work they've done for the comparison of what it would be. I guess that would mean if we were doing it a la carte, right? Which we paid for it each individually separately. So under that, we're still less money, but I know it doesn't, still hard because it's pretty substantial increase. Now, I remember 3, 4 years ago, before we brought them on, we budgeted about 20,000 a year. I think a few times didn't we go into the 21, 22, we went over it a couple times because of autopsies. Yeah.
If I
remember?
would have got this before yesterday, I could probably.
Yeah, I know, but I think we did, we had, because with autopsy costs, we got up to 25 to 26, maybe 27 a few times. Because we were paying them ourselves.
Well, and we had a lot of issues. Because medical examiner knows that work. And they would send notes asking for signing. What you signed off and. Those, I think, would sit in somebody's inbox for a little while, not the counties. But the medical examiner we had at the time. Was not an Alcona resident, and that's not certainly a necessity, but. It's a very difficult situation, because it is time sensitive, it is.
Yeah.
You're dealing with a sensitive subject.
So we're gonna have this whole conversation that we normally would have over the next 2 weeks, we're gonna do it right now in the next 2 minutes, so. Steph, you're a big part of this,
Mhm.
what's your,
It is a large increase. I mean, I'm very happy with the services that you provide for sure. I didn't know if there was a way to negotiate, maybe not a 5-year contract, but.
as far as services?
Right, in regard to the fees, I mean, our services that have to be provided, and again, I'm very happy with the services that we receive now compared to what we've had to deal with in the past, but. I guess just because of the large increase over the next 5 years, I mean, I can definitely see the 1, 2, and 3, but we're running at $35,000. So in 3 years, it's almost it's a $13,000 increase.
And I will add that in year 4 and 5, there was not an extended increase.
What do you mean?
It made up for it in year 3.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sorry.
no, and I understand.
If you'd given us the 2 weeks, you wouldn't have been subjected to this.
But with giving the breakdown of the cases that are done and the cost that it takes to do them, you know, and we've not come and asked for an increase in the past 3 years, and you know, we spent a lot of time discussing the numbers, and we came up with a fair amount that, you know, provides the best service and covers everything. And, you know, that's really, we're not looking to make extra money. We're trying to provide the best service for the very lowest amount.
Well, in fairness to Mensa, however one would like to say MIFSM. As you gather, are paying, actually, up until yesterday, $18,000 a year for the services. Craig mentioned a la carte, and if I may share, a la carte for 2020 would have been $23,700. A la carte for 2021 would have been $43,850. And a la carte for 2022 would have been $42,500. Each of those 3 years, we paid $18,000.
Well, and you spent a lot of work on this in the past years too, even before this contract that we had.
A little.
More than a little. But I mean, you were pretty in depth with that, so I mean, I'm probably good if you're thinking we don't have a choice. Yeah. That's probably, I mean, we don't have a lot of options.
Other than to get in trouble with the state.
Steve, just as a clear, probably only buttress with what Carolyn said, when you did the 45K on the, say, 2022 breakout here, that 45 cases is just each investigator's cost included in that, so you got 2,500. Oh, you got this, these are the breakdowns down here. Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So that's not even including the cost of a medical examiner. Correct. Which would be another, he does not work. Never worked.
And you have two of the best in the state. Dr. Malbeer is triple board certified and board certified in pediatric pathology, so I mean, never like to see those cases, but you have one of the best in the state of Michigan taking care of your family.
Well, my comments on it are, we didn't have a chance to discuss it. It's good that it was discussed in public, so people knew that we were doing due diligence to make sure we weren't just throwing money in a way we shouldn't be, or that we didn't at least look at it. But I guess I'm in the same, we have to have this. And this company's been working with us for 3 years. Did well by us when we were in need. We were definitely in need at a point in time when they stepped in and helped, so. I guess if there's no other comments, we need to vote. We have a motion, we have a support. So. Any other discussion? No. All right, all those in favor of approving this contract as presented?
Roll call.
Roll call.
Small,
Yes.
Drummond,
Yes,
Johnston,
Yes.
Yax,
Yes.
I did not want to say this before we voted, but those of you who were at the table 3.5 years ago or 3 years ago, we were told that contract was originally going to start at $25,000 3 years ago. And then the figure 23,000 came up and the figure 20,000 came up. Somebody with their dumb mouth said, we can't afford that 20, and they went to 18. But they said at the time, your next contract is going to be larger because we've come so far down on this one. As you can see, and when I read the cost per year, it had been done individually. So I guess maybe we're seeing the fruit of our
Well,
lack of labor.
this is why I wanted to get 2 more weeks for her to work on you. Because that's what happened the first time. But you lucked out because you didn't have to be subjected to 2 weeks. of Commissioner Drummond calling you every day and saying, oh, come on.
Oh, come on, I don't know, every day. I think Saturday.
No, I think it's just good that the public knows that we are doing our job to make sure that we don't just throw money around for no reason. And I hope you understand the same. It would not be, I think it would be inappropriate for us to simply rubber stamp it without having a discussion. But we do appreciate the services. And he needs this contract, so you wanna, in your motion, the vice
I
chairman
did
sign it?
not, but I will move to authorize the vice chair to sign.
Yes, second. All right, if you want me to sign it now, and you can get down the road before things change and. You cannot vote? No.
for the signature.
The signature.
Okay. Okay, Yep. So we have a motion and support from you to allow the vice chair to sign.
First, I'm sorry.
Karen was the,
Terry.
to allow me as vice chairman to sign the contract. All those in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Carries.
We can cross that out, sure.
Okay. Oh, did you, that?
Yes. Sorry, the toe line with the remaining. All mine, I guess, the next one.
I'll just, you can write in board. Maybe the board account.
Take that one.
If you want here too.
We know, gentlemen, there's no monopoly that someone has. I'm harassing people who are trying to sell us something.
Harassing, how harsh, that's. Negotiating. Negotiating in good faith, you might not want to harass him, but.
And we all are welcome to join the party anytime.
Yeah, it's a party.
If everyone can't get any money out of you.
Thank you all. We're
Thank you.
honored to be here, so.
We appreciate the work you do, it's a hard job. And I know those that have had to deal with it, appreciate you too.
It's just amazing to me that there's any discussion. It's required, and if you were sitting there waiting for the ME. It's just.
You're right, Patty, but at the same time. We need to economically blend that.
That's,
Yeah, you have no choice. There isn't a competition.
Steve, can you make
Well,
sure that
there
every
is, there's
sign one from
other
Brian?
options out, but.
I will.
Maybe
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
all right. Finance report. The finance have a, you did a meeting, didn't
Yeah, we had a EMS finance meeting this morning, not a lot going on, we're working on. Another vehicle that is a non-transport vehicle. And then have one ambulance in getting outfitted. And that's about it.
Personnel report? Do we have? Remind me, do we get? We don't have anything. We didn't meet last week, so. And we don't have anything to add at this point either. It's been kind of a February route here. Treasury report. We break the ice, huh?
Absolutely.
All right.
February 28th was the last day for everyone to pay their taxes to their township.
Mm.
It was also the last day to pay before the delinquent taxes that were held at the county went into forfeiture. We started the year with approximately 600 properties. We had 371 go into forfeiture, which is pretty close to what we have averaged in that video. Which is pretty much what we've averaged. We are holding off, because we did say we would accept postmark of the 28th. So on Monday, after the weekend mail, we'll be sending our certificates of forfeiture over to the registered deeds office for processing. At this time, the townships have completed their collections. I have 9 of the townships information. I'll be making a few phone calls this afternoon, hopefully getting at least a few more of the amount that have come over to Lakeland. I haven't had a chance to look at the numbers, except for a few that came through. We're looking at, I can't give an estimate, but so we're working on that. And in the past, there's been roughly 1,500 to 2,000 delinquent taxes coming over from the townships. We have some meetings set up with the townships for the new process of tax roll preparation and maintenance. We have I put together a mini series with the townships, with the treasurers, and we're working with the clerk's office and equalization on a few of those meetings. And then we have a training for all the township treasurers for their tax collection. We have 56 properties today that are slated for foreclosure. Those individuals have until March 31st to get those taken care of. Our average in the past few years has been between 10 and 15. So
And
we're hoping that-
56, is that what you said?
56,
Wow.
yeah. So I am I'm really excited to be working with the townships. I talked to a couple of them. And it's gonna be a learning process for everybody, but the majority of everybody's on board and looking forward to completing this tax year. And I also will be coming back to you next week with the payout information for approval of paying out the settlement amounts. I'm hoping to have those done by the 15th. Or at least a rough idea of what I'm gonna name. And have you guys approve that for payment without waiting until the next meeting, so the townships can have their settlements before the end of their fiscal year. The majority of them are the end of March, April 1st starts their new fiscal year, so I'd like to do my best to get those to them and all the other entities. But I'll have that information for you later. That's really all we're we're in the swamp right now. Working our way out. Does anyone have any questions for me? Okay,
Did get my new assessment papers?
that would be your assessor. You would want to get them called
I know, but
directly.
you were right there, so. Everybody else got theirs, right?
What's your question?
No. Why?
Your assessment is too high or?
So everybody hopefully knows that probably this will be the first year. Did they go up last year? I didn't notice.
Yes.
Farmland didn't. Yeah,
Some did.
so this will be a bigger year, as most of you have probably seen.
And as you know, because you are
Go ahead.
been involved in this process, your assessed value does not affect your taxes unless it's a building or some type of specific improvement that goes on to your taxable value. Your assessed value can be raised, but your taxable value goes up only the inflation rate, which is between 1% and 4%. Taxes go up pretty much every year. If it falls below, you remove a house or a building, then your assessed value gets lowered below your taxable value. That's what your new taxable value is. So even though your assessment we have these $1 million homes now, you're still being taxed where you were only 1% to 4% based on the federal inflation rates. So when you see these big jumps in your assessed value, it doesn't necessarily affect your taxes unless your taxable value is increased. That's where you want to look.
It had to max out at 4, was it 4? Well,
That-
I thought, I figured mine was 4.9, I thought it was 5%. Is it state law, it's 1 to 4? So because of inflation that everybody's experiencing, we're gonna experience it in property taxes too. So we've enjoyed 1% for how many years, inflation on our taxes, now it's gonna be, if not 4, maybe 5% increase on everybody's property taxes. So, I know, it's not you, you're just the collector. Just the collector,
I'm just.
and not the instigator. So, I just thought everybody'd love to hear that. Not really cheery news.
But you enjoy doing the budget.
Well, it's nicer than, yeah, when you do have the money. But it all rolls downhill, I guess. So, I mean, everything costs more, so everybody's gotta pay more. Just how it goes. All right, clerk's report.
Been on the road a lot lately. I haven't been here much. We go back a ways. We had the Greenbush Township post-election audit, and that went really well. We had to do a physical hand count of the governor's race. We didn't know it was just for one governor, pick a one. We did all of them. And the physical hand count was spot on. So that was great. She ran a really good election down there. Any errors were very minor, nothing major that stuck out. I think it took about 5.5 hours for the whole election from beginning to end. So it's quite lengthy and in depth. Went to the MAC conference down in Bay City, and the whole purpose of my drive down there was for proposal 2. And I don't know if you heard more at your conference than I was able to, because the storm moved in. And right when they were finally getting ready to start the conversation with proposal 2, I hit the road. And to try to get ahead of the storm, and that did not work. But what happened basically is the Bureau of Elections was there, the attorney, and then 2 other staff members that were there. And they basically said they don't have all the kinks and all the answers yet. It's not going to be a perfect process. This proposition was made, and now it's going to be who's going to fix it and make it work right. Basically is what I got out of it. Also, I went back to Bay City a few days later for the county lawsuit, which I would have discussed, would have requested a closed session, but I didn't have, our typical attorney wasn't present. They had another attorney that stood in. Nothing major happened, so I'll have them call into the next commissioners meeting and have them kind of review everything that was discussed. And I won't be surprised if I'm not back to Bay City before you guys even have your next meeting. And also, just in regard to the contract, it wasn't a question of having the services provided. It was just the cost of the question of the increase. And that if it wasn't comfortable for a 5-year, maybe just look at a 3-year, it was just a suggestion. Again, you guys do a great service for us. I think that's all I have. And yeah, receiving emails from the auditors, that's coming up first week in April.
April 3rd. Get ready.
So, and by the way, proposal 2 is now 9 days of voting.
Of early voting. So they discussed, the only thing I got out of it was they discussed, municipalities that would have like Alcona, where it would fall into like under a 15,000 person range where it wouldn't affect that, which made a lot of other county clerks upset. And they said, oh, no, it's gonna be all across the board. It's not gonna be this county gets to do this and this county, it's gonna be the same no matter what. But now to figure out who's gonna pay for all of these election workers, especially for small townships that don't have a lot of money. I don't know. We'll see where it goes. Thank heaven.
9 consecutive.
We don't have, we got,
9 consecutive.
let all the other counties that have elections this year smooth it out, hopefully.
I mean, this is a stupid question, but recognizing what you're doing isn't a stupid question. The 9 days have to be before the final date of the election, don't they?
Correct.
Okay. The way they're doing things.
You gotta get an election worker to have, take 9 days off of work somewhere.
Or if you're having it in a school, then it's the first school. Anyways,
Yeah.
all right,
Any questions for the clerk? All right, none. Communications, you have them in your packet. Some multitude of resolutions there from other counties, and if anybody want to look at those. Committee reports. There,
Ongoing thing with the commission or the consumers, they are going to be having public meetings in the future here. They have not given dates exactly, but they want to redo the public meetings. It does affect us over in, on the west side. 2 townships. Try to keep on top of that. Attended a NIMCOG meeting. And I guess really the biggest news out of there is the secretary or the administration assistant who's been there for years, Ms. Huff, has resigned. That's yes. My news for all of us who live.
choice, you didn't answer when I called. I know.
You thought you
It went to voicemail like 3 days.
Yep, she's resigned and now it's moved on, or going to be moving on. Which, yeah, that's 2 years. I've had a lot of, I think everybody.
Daily, almost.
Mm,
They,
Yeah.
I should be looking for some emails from, have they appointed someone hired?
Not that I know, not that I know.
Oh,
I mean, they're gonna be there for a couple of days, it sounds like to work with it.
Yeah.
To get somebody, but I have not heard anything. Dave and I attended the Department of Health meeting, Elkhorn is down to a low level with the virus. Which is good, and hopefully the disease is. Finally, I won't say going away, well, we've been doing this for years, but. And I'll let Dave finish that.
so it's just, they have the same problems that every other business has. They can't get enough employees, they struggle at every avenue. But that was with District Health Library update. The library in Lincoln was hit by a vehicle this winter. They had out to bid. They did get one contractor finally bid. They went ahead and are getting that. If they order a window, it's a little over $12,000 in damage. Building department on the veterans. So we are moving them next Tuesday. So we'll be getting everyone in line. Mr. Ash will be talking to her and Tony. That's what I have.
All right, quick side note there too, apparently May 11th. This is the magical day that the disease is going away. Finally, they're gonna, the emergency situation plan or whatever through the Fed for COVID. It's going to go away.
May 11th, it's over.
Yep.
Magical day.
And so it'll be next whole day, all right.
Okay. Do anything?
I believe it.
Go ahead. I don't have any much.
If I may. Right, Scott. If we were a little ahead of what we normally are. And we, I shouldn't say we, Scott, through the Homeland Security. Fortunately, we have $7,000, just over $7,000 that needs to be spent. Homeland Security money. Homeland Security is a monthly meeting that takes place usually in either the city or Midland. And we take maybe 3 or 4 minutes and let Scott give us, because it's really kind of intriguing and interesting, I think. I used to go to meetings every month. Can you take just a couple of minutes and tell them? The money used to be up in the $100,000, and we're now down to $50,000 to $20,000 a year. But I'll do a little bit and then you finish and fill in the hole. This is approved by others such as Scott in this meeting. Scott would normally be there. Our sheriff would be there. Those are some of the folks that are voting. Scott is the emergency manager for Oklahoma County. And in our local LEPT meetings, we talk about the fire department's there, the EMS is there, the sheriff department is there. We talk about what do we need for the ongoing safety of our county. It's a wide range of things, and this is about safety. This is the AEDs that we see, the new ones that are in the hallway. They came from this money. And they're around county, around some in the library. These are all things, and I think a lot of them, we exercise at least almost once a year. For something bad, if you will, to happen, like the dam breaks over in Mile. What are we gonna do? We've exercised that, we've worked on that. And a lot of people say, really? They don't realize that, yeah. And this is through Scott's leadership. And he pulls the people together and said, you have to come, so. Scott, do you want to fill in some other blanks that I left? Because it's really from my perspective, it's a very basic safety element for our county.
As Carolyn stated, the money's getting smaller and smaller because what FEMA's doing is they're putting restrictions on us where we have to earmark dollar amounts for it, soft security targets, election security, cyber security, and we have to spend certain percentages of that given money for Region 3. There's 14 counties in Region 3. So that money kind of comes off the top, and then what's the leftover or the cream, which is getting thinner and thinner every year. For fiscal years 21 and 22, we have $11,295. So what we've decided to do as a group is the Region 3 board, the 14 emergency managers and the planning person, is to put all the money in one pot. Kind of go back to what it was 12, 15 years ago, one pot of money. And then of the 14 counties, the emergency managers will put in requests. And we kind of vote, if you will, as to whose project is more important or which ones we're going to fund, rather than everybody gets an equal amount of money per county. And that's kind of where we're at right now. It's not a lot of money over the next 2 years if they were to divvy it up 14 different ways. So some of the projects we've got submitted right now is for the amateur radio folks. That's about $6,000 that I submitted. And then the school district wants an app, a program, a system to put on their buses so that they can track their buses on the GPS. The other thing it would do with the app is it would let the parents and the students know where's the bus at on the route in the morning. So is the bus early? Is it running late? Is it not running at all? We did install 800 megahertz radios in the buses 3 or 4 years ago, so that they had communications between the school, the bus garage, and the bus driver. And now they want to go one more step with the GPS type programming to track the bus as it moves. it's getting more and more restrictive as to what we can and cannot do with our funds. So the last little bit of money, the $7,100 that Carolyn alluded to, was to update our EOC with some television, an owl, so we can do Zoom from there, more television, so we can put more information out there in an EOC activation. The job fair books, not job fair, but the job role books. So if you're in charge of logistics, there's a colored vest, it's labeled, we know who the logistics officer is. There's a guidebook that tells you, if need be, what your responsibilities are as logistics. What forms do you fill out, who do you communicate with? There's operations, there's planning, there's finance, incident command, those kind of things. So that's what we want to do, is improve those communications. As Carolyn alluded to when we did the Mile Dam exercise, we got a lot of compliments from the other 3 counties and from Consumers Power, who sponsored the or who earmarked it. Because if the Mile Dam breaks, the water is going to be at Alcona Park in 6 hours. We got 6 hours to get Alcona Park evacuated. 6 hours is not a big deal at this time of year, because there's nobody in Alcona Park. But if you're looking at any of the major holidays over the summer months, we don't have to do a lot. All we have to do is get them out of Alcona Park and get them up on the highland on the 2 side roads that parallel the park. That's all we got to do. But it takes people and time, and everybody's going to want to bring their RVs and bring all their personal possessions. No, it's get your stuff and get out, because the water's coming. And I know Terry's alluded to that Consumers is talking about shutting down all of their dams in the state of Michigan. They're not making any money. Yes, they might produce a little bit of energy, but they're actually losing money on the dams. And there's 6 of them between Mile and Lake Huron. And there's discussion that they would eliminate those dams, then the water levels are all going to go down, and then there goes recreation and all the things that come along with that river. So those are some of the things that we're doing monthly. We meet the first Monday of every month. It's open to the public. We meet at the Bay County or Bay Aranac IID building. It's there at Wilder Road and 2 miles behind the miners. Meetings start at 1:30, and it's the first Monday of every month unless it's a holiday.
Oh, good, I can ask a question. Which commissioner has got all the credentials to back you?
Who sits on the LEPC or who has credentials?
The credentials, because I remember I had the FEMA tree in my office.
Most of the commissioners have the 100, 200, 700, and 800. There's a few that have more. The sheriff's in there, fire chief, all the LEPC, LEPT members, which are the same 8 members. I've got my PEM or professional emergency manager certification from the state. So it gets updated frequently.
Well, there's so much that goes on behind the scenes that we never have a chance to share with you. But I think it's important that you're aware of it. So,
Right now, I'm working on a hazmat grant. It's the yearly grant, $1,500. It's due by the middle of the month, so I'm putting the final touches on that, get that submitted in the state of Michigan for reimbursement for that. That's where we're at the moment.
thank you. I appreciate you sharing.
You're welcome.
In addition to what he's been doing, I have been working on various things, which the Northeast Michigan 211. We had our annual meeting a week and a half ago. We have a new treasurer. We have a new executive director, as I shared with you over the last couple of meetings. It was our annual meeting this month. I'm remaining as president of that organization. Sunrise meeting was canceled. I have been, as I do about every week, reviewing the invoices. Decatur was now fully stocked with their elected officials, thank goodness. ACCOA had their meeting yesterday. I think they're moving along very well. Got a long ways to go, but they know they have a long ways to go. And I think it's an endurance race. And I think we're going to see Alcona's seniors win that endurance race. And I'm very pleased about it. Monday, we had our next opioid meeting. with Bill and and I appreciate him continuing with that. We're at the point now where we're beginning to gather some ideas, a couple of things that came up Monday, among others. Transportation, as you might imagine, folks who are in drug court don't have any transportation but their bike, their kids' bike, whichever. Plus they live sometimes in areas they just can't get to the drug court meeting, and those are important meetings for them. The other thing that we talked about was when they get out of rehab, they don't have any place to go, except generally speaking, back to what the environment that they came out of, which is of no value at all, and will put them right back into the situation. So we're looking at the possibility of getting a halfway house, a three-bed type of house that would maybe handle 8, maybe 10 people. And they would pay a small amount of rent. There's a lot to work on in that area, but we've got 18 years. And if you do it wisely, you might be able to do it. It's one of the things that is out there. One of the other things that we talked about, and that is educating doctors a little more aware of the fact that, oh, if I look back a little ways, I'll see that this person has been getting drugs 3 years after they broke their leg. Is that really, really necessary? And there are a couple of experts in the field that we're thinking about having a unified group from our health center and our 2 hospitals. That's the findings.
I only have, Dave kind of brought up the veterans. Only thing I'm in the process of getting that phase 1 done. He may call today and be there, so hopefully that'll get taken care of. I had a questionnaire to fill out. I don't have anything else.
Do you have an idea when that's going to be done, or?
I hope this week. They'll be on site this week to write it up. Another week.
Well, we're still waiting on Russo.
Yeah, we haven't got the blueprints yet from Russo. Not that I've heard. Tony hasn't said anything to me, right? You haven't
About
heard?
2 more weeks.
2 more weeks. So, yeah, we're still kind of in a circle pattern. So that's all I have. Public comment?
Gary Van Up, Mitchell Township. Was at the senior meeting yesterday. Kind of sadly disappointed. It seems our local. I hate to call them journalists because they're not really journalists. I think they make most of their stuff up. But the Alcona Review was not there at yesterday's meeting. Alpena News was not there, and neither was WBKB. You know, when it comes to stirring up trouble and everything else, they're there to add to the fire. I think these people have done a wonderful job on the board. You know, I've been in communications with them, and I think they've been doing a terrific job. Not to have this reported in our local papers, I think is a great service. I don't, you know, I really hate to call them journalists because journalists report facts, they omit a lot of things. And I personally think this board should admonish them. That's my feeling on the subject. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. I didn't ask anybody out in the internet. Any public comment from online? Okay, hearing none. Commissioner's final and additional comments or additional and final? None. All right, on that note, adjourned until March 15th. Thank you, everyone.
Would you like to go upstairs and make a copy of this?
Oh, yours has a signature? Yes, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.